Dick Sears, you are officially being recorded.
Thank you very much, Adam.
Yeah, so Dick Sears, as everyone may not know, you are my grandfather.
That's
And-
correct, and proud of it.
Yeah, and you are actually a mayor of a small town. What do you consider a small town?
It was a small town when we first moved here. It's 3,500. At the end of my mayordomship, it was 46,000. So most people don't look at it as a small town anymore. They did,
Right.
but not anymore.
So, I mean,
It's a middle-sized town.
and for people that don't know, it's Holly Springs in North Carolina.
Holly Springs, North Carolina. A town that is magic. People who live here love it here. We get along well. It has been the safest town to live in North Carolina for the last 25, 30 years, which is a very important point. It's a friendly town. It was at one time a very small black town during the Civil War that I would say 90% were blacks and slaves that lived here when the male dominant factor in the family went off to war. And I give them a lot of credit for keeping the town, open. And it was thought about closing. The bank went down, everything went down, but they kept it going, and I give them credit for that.
So, what made you decide to take over?
One of the town board members' wives said to me, "What did you do at Sears Roebuck?" And I said, "Well, I was the national retail marketing manager for women's apparel and accessories, $2.5 billion. She said, "We need one of those in town. Why don't you run for mayor?" I said, "Because I'm not interested." She says, "Run for mayor." I said, "I'm not interested." She says, "I dare you to run for mayor." I said, "Okay, I'm going to run for mayor." I paid my bucks, started running for mayor, knocked on a few doors, didn't think too much of it. And then all of a sudden, I thought, there's people who are asking me good questions. And there are people saying, "Why don't you run for mayor?" That I was there at their house. And I said, "Well, thank you." So then I decided I'd work on it. So for the next 2 months, I knocked on one heck of a lot of doors. And I ran against the incumbent mayor, who was appointed by the town 3 years prior. And Ham and I got along well. His name was Ham Womble. His wife is still alive. We still have fun talking about the old days. Ham was a former major in the sheriff's department. He's a big guy, rough and tough and all that kind of stuff. We got along well. So that's how it all started. It was a dare, and it's something I didn't even want to do, and wound up doing it. And 20 years later, I felt I had enough time, and I just thought I would retire, which I did. Didn't have to. There's no term limits, but yeah, and I'm glad I did. The only bad news is when you retire from a job like that, it's an everyday job. Mm-hmm. In the state of North Carolina, it's a part-time job. I made it a full-time job. You miss it when they're gone. I get kind of bored just looking at the TV. But I'm working on it.
You brought up a good point, and I'm going to want to mention this. A dare, right?
A dare.
So I'm going to go back for people that don't know, but didn't you get dared to work for Sears?
Well, there was a time. This was in 1961. I got a call from a friend of mine who worked in the automotive department. He said, "Why don't you come down to Sears and try for getting a job?" He said, "With your name, you got it made." I said, "I don't want to work for Sears. I'm going to be a pharmaceutical salesman for Merck." And blah, blah, blah. "I dare you." So he dared me. Don't dare me to do anything, okay, Adam? So I went down to Sears Roebuck, went to the lady who's the head of personnel, don't you know? And she said, "Why are you here?" I said, "I'm looking for a job." She said, "Well, we're not hiring now, but if you'd fill this form out, we'll call you." I said, "Fine. Let me get out of here." So I filled it out. I got halfway down the hall, and she said, "Mr. Sears?" I said, "Yes." "You wouldn't be a relative or a founder, would you?" And I said, "Well, matter of fact, I am." I said, "Same first name, same last name. Various time between him and me, but at the same time, very similar." About a month later, after working in the store, thinking I should have the store by now as a store manager, which I didn't, I get a call from Barry Pesner, who was the territorial Midwest PR guy. He said, the chairman of the board would like to talk to you. I said, well, fine. He said, no. He said, we mean in Chicago. Can you come to Chicago? Well, I had one suit. That was it. It's a poplin type suit. It wasn't very expensive. And I went to the Sears office in West Arlington in Chicago. Walked in the door. The boardroom, of course. General Wood is at the end of the table, who was the chair. Very stately, very famous person, warlike. He looks at me and he kind of stares. And I thought, there's something I'm wrong. And I checked to make sure I had all my zips zipped and buttons buttoned. And I said, is there something wrong, sir? He goes, turn around. I turn around and the painting on the wall looked exactly like me. Exactly like me. It was done when he was 21 years old. And I was I was close to 21 too. Mm-hmm. Same nose, same mouth, same eyeballs, same the whole 9 yards. Scared the crap out of me too. But that was it. And that's how it all started.
That was taking like a risk.
Kind of.
So it's like you're doing something, but someone's daring you to do something, and then you do it, and then didn't it change like you say it changed your life? Like
I would say so.
Yeah, like doing that.
20 years
of working for Sears.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you do the mayor thing, and once again, it's another dare.
Lots of dares in my life. I never thought about it that way, Adam, but I guess you're right. Usually, though, I think I would define a dare as if you want somebody to do something and you're not sure they want to do it, you say, Adam, I dare you to keep this thing going.
Now let's flash forward. You do the dare for mayor. You like challenges. Mm-hmm. So how hard was it to make this city, or how important was it for you to make the city really safe?
It doesn't happen automatically.
Yeah, so walk us through how
you work with the police department, mm-hmm. but you also work with the citizens of town. And you remind them that we are the safest town in North Carolina to live in. And just by reminding them, that helps. And I think on top of that, if you go back into time when we weren't the safest point in town, I would tell them the story about how this used to be a shoot-'em-up town. Bang, bang, shoot 'em up. Mm-hmm. And we had 3 police officers, 3. One of them was black, and the other 2 were white. They were busy guys because there was always drugs going on, this and that. And people who are old, let's say who are in their 70s and 80s today, will say, there was a time when this was not the safest part in town. What did you do different? Well, we got ourselves a police force for starters because we didn't have one really. And secondly, we started talking to everybody that wanted to hear about, do you want to stay with the safest town or do you want to stay to Wild Wild West? Well, we want the safest town. All right, let me handle it. So not me only, but many of us handle the point about going to other towns nearby where people sometimes integrate from that town to this town, mm-hmm. and remind them, like mayors occasionally I would do, that this is the safest town to live in North Carolina. Bragging a little bit, but happy to brag. And I think I told you earlier when you were here, Fuji came in here about a year ago and decided this would be one of their drug manufacturers areas. $2.5 billion investment. The biggest investment in the state of North Carolina, as far as I know, to this day. Then right behind him, Amgen came in. We've got the growth. We've got new people coming in. Safest, great place to live. And they had a wonderful mayor. Very humble mayor, as I recall.
And what was his name again? Would that happen to be Dick
Sears? Yeah, something like that.
So it's obviously a desired place to live.
Right.
A lot of people want to live here. Why now affordable housing and not in the beginning? What?
Well, good question. Didn't need it in the beginning because the houses we had here were affordable. We had 48 shacks. I mean, real old-fashioned shacks, which we had to buy as a town, paying twice what they were worth, and then raise them to the ground and build houses here. So until about maybe 7 or 8 years ago, you could buy a house anywhere from like 200,000 or 150,000 up to, I guess the most expensive might have been $1 million. But then it came, people started saying, your police department can't afford to live here. The nurses can't afford to live here. And they're right. It's tough now. So until the market started going this way recently, going down, there are ways to have affordable housing. I've talked to several builders who can do a very nice house, manufactured home, kind of. Parts of it comes in pieces. $2,000. That's affordable. So we're going to do some of those. Matter of fact, we've also already got some, and we're building more as we speak. Down by Ting Park, where the baseball diamond is, Salamanders, right across that street, is a whole big area where there will be an affordable housing development, along with a computer home-based company. So we're getting there. Usually the population, if you ask them and they're good, will tell you what needs to be done in the town. The folks who lived here when we first moved here, goes back a generation or two, the black folks, they had things to say, but I encouraged that. They didn't come in the office and bang the desk at all. It was, we would appreciate if you did this or did that. We did. And I still, to this day, I respect that.
Carl and I are from California, so we come visit here, and you're explaining to us how everyone around here helps each other out.
And right here's a classic example.
Yeah, and
our neighbors do right now.
Wow. People here are really nice. Like, what are you guys doing around here that's so different? Like, what's in the water? Because are you guys hiding something? Because there's no way that people can be this nice.
That's the way it is.
Explain to me, why are people so nice here? Like, what makes someone really just that nice? Like, everyone, I mean, I kid you not, everywhere we have gone to eat, it's like, I'm like, you guys are in a cult or something.
Well, thank goodness you didn't have to go to the hospital, which I have. And I would tell you that the people in the hospital are the same way. They're welcoming. They treat you like you're a king, helping build that hospital mentally anyway. The ER is a very important part of that to me, because our nearest ER was in Raleigh, which is kind of a drive.
30 minutes away, right?
35 maybe, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I said to them, let's make the ER a very big ER. We don't need it right now, but there'll be a time we do. And they put in 24 waiting rooms in the ER for this town. 24. And they're nice. And unfortunately, I've been there too as a patient. But they're very nice.
What does it mean to have 24?
24 rooms.
Yeah, but what does that mean? Like,
well, if you come in or get driven in, you have to go to a room to get assessed, where they do all the testing for you and see what's wrong and right. Downtown, and it's not Raleigh's fault. It's an old hospital. They don't have the room. And you may be in the hallway, which I've been, during the assessment. Actually, people are walking back and forth on the hallway. Here, you got your own room. The doctors love it here. The nurses love it here. And the patients love it here.
Which is important, because 24 rooms for a city of 47,000, that's 46, a lot, right?
Yeah.
46, sorry.
Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah.
Does it make you very proud of yourself for taking the dare and actually turning this place into a wonderful place? Like, how proud are you of that, of those accomplishments after retiring? How proud are you?
I don't advertise it for obvious reasons, but at the same time, I'll give you an example. I was a big supporter of the Salamanders, which is a baseball team, Coastal League. Guys coming up on their way up, they come into town and play at Ting. artificial turf, great group of kids, a big league scouts come in all the time to watch. And so I helped get them going. I helped.
These are college, right? They're
Well,
are
they're
they trying to make
college
to the
grads.
majors? Okay, college grads.
College grads.
Okay.
So as one of the going away things that they did for me, besides that rocking chair you see over there, I walked to the stadium one day. Up the first base line and the third base line, there is in the artificial turf itself, and white artificial turf, Dick Sears Field. And I thought, well, isn't that something? And that makes you feel like you accomplished something for yourself, but for the town too. Right. That, well, to give you an idea, the mayor of Fuqua is a good friend of mine. And his retirement party was the day after mine. And it was the downtown building, or they call it the John Burns Center, in big letters. And I'd already got mine from the field here.
Yeah.
So John was telling me about it. I said, John, you ought to be very proud of yourself. You got a building named after you downtown. But I got a ball field named after me. Nah. I did. That's exactly what I did. And we laughed.
Yeah.
We laughed.
For anyone that even wants to be a great leader or a great person or wants to build a community the way that I see it here, will you say that just listen and give feedback and just be there for someone? Like what's the great qualities that you think you need to be that successful and have that community? What does someone need to know? What would you say? Listen.
Use these. And then not necessarily use these. You can. And you can talk about it, and that's good, nothing wrong with that. But just use this.
Use your ears.
Even if you disagree, I'll tell you this is a true story. Even if you disagree with somebody's point, if you have the attitude, that you take that back and think about it, they made 10 different comments, 9 of which were stupid. One of them had some merit. Pick the merit one out and go with it. The 10 that were stupid, leave them alone. But you don't tell that person you did that 9 of your comments were stupid. You just say, well, thank you for telling me about blah, 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 or how you treat blah, 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 or whatever. It works. Even if you're 100% disagreement. Even if you, we sometimes will get into values of life and who you like and who you don't like and why do you like this person more than somebody else. But normally it's just, hey, you make some good points, thank you. Then you walk away going, that guy or gal was an idiot. But anyway, I learned something.
If you can go back to it, like everything that you had, like back from the beginning when you first took the road to be mayor.
Right.
And now that it's done, your terms, you're obviously retired now. What is something that you would have done differently?
I've been asked that before, and it's going to sound very self-serving. But I would say if you believe what I said before, and you believe all of it, and you listen carefully, and not that I'm perfect or anything like that, but I said all these things, I'm not sure, and I've never thought of this, but I'm not sure there's anything I would do differently. I could do it better maybe. But as far as, did I miss out on something? Nope. Once
again, I'm really proud that I call you my grandfather and you built this Holly Springs town. It's just awesome to walk around and have that pride that you built from this place from the ground up. And it's
pretty
what
much.
It is now. And
Thank you.
It's something that forever is going to be honored. Your name is everywhere, and it's something that you should be proud of, something that I'm going to be proud of visiting here when further in the future, knowing that, yeah, my grandfather built this place.
Yeah.
This is an awesome place to be. I feel welcome here, and there's always going to be something, and the spirit is something of you here, and it's awesome. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for...
It's my pleasure.
Thank you for being on this podcast and explaining to everyone out there what it is to be, what is it like to be a mayor, and What is it like to hear these wonderful stories and a community and everything? And yeah, I don't know if you have anything else to say.
The only thing else I would say is this. To wrap this up, I would say what my Jewish friends would say. Shalom Haverim Lehit Rod, which means peace be with you and your family.
Ooh, you know when they say it, it's true. It is